Welcome to the third and final video in the Systems Thinking Marin mini course, How Can I Learn More About Systems Thinking? I first learned about systems thinking in approximately 2006 in an organizational development and community organizing context. However, it was many years later, when I was incorporating systems thinking into my dissertation, that I discovered that systems thinking transcends fields to the degree that really it's more of a world view and not just a field or specific to a set of fields. So what I'm going to give you today is a bit of a modelette to communicate the complexity of the world of complexity, and so that you don't make the same mistake I did, thinking that it's kind of, appropriate over here and not necessarily to all these other areas. However, it's still from this making the world a better place bias or perspective. So, how can I learn more about systems thinking? In the first video about systems thinking, 3 main points, we discussed systems thinking as being about number 1, relationships, number 2, the ability to hold the one and the many at the same time, and 3, shifting your default point of view. In the second video, how do I know when I'm systems thinking, we differentiated between charitable direct service, advocacy, and systems thinking approaches to making the world a better place. In this video, we'll cover specific recommendations for great books and online courses, and a modelette for thinking about the wide variety of systems thinkers. Let's begin with recommendations for books to learn more about systems thinking, specifically if you're engaged in the work of making the world a better place. Donella Meadows' Thinking in Systems, a primer, is an incredible book you'll find yourself going back to again and again. I learned that systems have tendencies, no matter the system, and understanding the tendencies of systems gives you great insight into why things are the way they are, and a much more clear picture of what you're up against if you are attempting to intervene in a system that has its own momentum. Otto Scharmer's The Essentials of Theory U, Core Principles and Applications is a distilled version of the much larger Theory U book. As it says on the book jacket, Otto Scharmer, quote, outlines a framework for updating the operating systems of our educational institutions, our economies, and our democracies, unquote. This set of models is particularly strong in terms of building the capacity for self-reflection and for building robust relationships and communication within a group or between groups. Systems Thinking for Social Change by David Peter Stroh is really excellent if you have a particular project you're working on and you would like to apply systems thinking to your context. It can't be beat for straightforward, almost recipe-like guidance for applying systems thinking. Now we'll cover 3 recommended online courses. This is the Uber meta book and course, The Systems View of Life, A Unifying Vision. Fritjof Capra teaches an online course that commences twice per year, which you can find at copracourse.net. It's incredibly comprehensive and really a magnum opus to get a sense of the scale and vastness of the systems worldview, and in the context of a great variety of fields, from medicine to ecology to mathematics and cybernetics to spirituality, etc. On the edx.org website, which is MIT's open course platform, you can take this short little self-guided course, ULab 0x, with a U referring to Theory U. I'd say it's about a 4 or 5 hour course, and it introduces you to the basic Theory U concepts. And my final course recommendation is Systems Practice, which is a form of systems mapping, on the plusacumen.org website. The course is offered by the Omidyar Group, and it is dramatically time-intensive and requires a team to really do the work. It's also a sort of key that unlocks a deep understanding of the forces in a system, helping you to make the invisible visible and to discern places of leverage in the system. So there you have it, 3 books reiterated along the top here, and 3 online courses along the bottom. Note that this is just a small, but I would say robust set of recommendations. And here is the modelette I mentioned, starting with the bottom right, authors and consultants. books, consulting, some online courses. Communities of practice, a robust global platform with a particular focus, and the meta bucket, or in this case, umbrella of the systems view. Meta means before, or in this case, the big overarching umbrella, the comprehensive view of systems. So Danella Meadows and Fritjof Capra fit here, and Theory U fits here, as well as collective impact, which started out in the literature as focused on transforming education, but can be applied to any number of spaces. And then over here, David Peter Stroh, Systems Thinking for Social Change, the Omidyar Group's Systems Practice online course. And I want to also just briefly mention Bruce McKenzie, whom you can find at bsystemics.com, because it's from Bruce that I first learned about systems thinking all of those years ago, and his insightful work continues to influence my thinking to this day. Thank you, Bruce. I realized at some point that this is how I had begun to contextualize various schools of systems thinking in my own head, so I offer it to you just in case it helps you as well in your efforts to make the world a better place. So now comes my personal plea to you. The mission of Systems Thinking Marin is to raise awareness about and adoption of systems thinking in Marin County in all sectors. The vision is that we move from a default linear, reductionist, conventional worldview to a default systems view, with the ability to put on the conventional worldview when necessary and appropriate, and then take it off again. Developing the systems worldview means that you develop a worldview in which relationships are primary, you have the cognitive capacity to hold the one and the many at the same time, and the long-term, wide, and deep view or perspective is readily available to you. This is important to me personally, as well as professionally, because the short-term and narrow and surface or shallow worldview that doesn't particularly value relationships and that balks in the face of complexity is stuck in the on position. And we have a small and shrinking window of time in which to comprehensively and effectively address climate change, in which to extend our empathy beyond the group with whom we immediately identify to all of humanity, and to halt the loss of so many species. Developing this systems worldview requires multiple books, multiple courses, multiple experiences, immersion, again and again and again. In addition to the resources offered in this video, I am here at Systems Thinking Marin to help support you in developing the systems worldview. Really, we are here to learn together. Thank you for watching the Systems Thinking Marin mini course. You can find more information at systemsthinkingmarin.org and contact me through the website.